Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another reaction and commentary video. And this is to the 15th episode of MLP, which is 28 pranks later. And thankfully I'm slowly getting caught back up. This is the 15th episode. It plays, yes, okay. So, starting the video. Okay, now I really don't know what this is. The only thing I remember, I honestly haven't seen anything about this episode, honestly. The only thing I remember was seeing an artist on DeviantArt draw their OC with some rainbow color around their mouth, and it was after this episode aired, and that's all that I know. So let's go. Starting the video. Rewind. Okay, starting the video in 3, 2, 1, click.
I'm so sorry I lost track of time at our picnic. I didn't mean for us to get caught out here after dark, but there's really nothing to be afraid of. The forest at night is the same as the forest during the day.
Actually, it's a lot more sinister, and wow, that is beautiful.
Only darker.
That face.
Still, maybe
Barry?
we should hurry back to the cottage.
What? That was a dragon, wasn't it?
Nothing to worry about. No reason to.
Whoa. Okay, never heard, It's Rainbow Dash. As a vampire changeling. I knew it! It was Rainbow Dash! Good costume. Aww. Gotcha! Dashy. Rainbow?
That wasn't funny. You really scared me. I hope you're happy.
Okay, I like Fluttershy's attitude here. Instead of her just being meek, she actually...
That's not true. Boo.
Okay. No intro?
How could you not appreciate
Okay then.
Because I don't think being scared is very fun. I do. Your heart gets all racy. Your hooves get all...
Only Pinky could have cartoon-related physics.
Actually, I don't like that part. But the rest is great. See?
If you don't mind having a heart attack.
Prank. They're just jokes. But now Rainbow Dash. I don't think Fluttershy would have called us all here to talk about this if she thought it was funny. Every pony has things they like and things they don't.
And scaring Fluttershy is just lazy.
Lazy?
Oh gosh.
Isn't very good if you're the only pony laughing.
But what if it's really funny? And I can do funny.
I know you can. I guess the trick is making sure that your idea of funny matches the pony you're pranking. That way...
A whoopee cushion.
Not really.
Yeah, a whoopee cushion is like a joke shortcut.
What? Honestly, Rainbow,
Those
you are
faces.
not willing to put forth the effort required to pull a prank that every pony can
I think,
enjoy.
okay.
You may as well not pull one at all.
I love how critical
Fine.
Applejack was
If
there.
ponies want effort, then that's just what you'll get.
I'm not sure she understood what we meant.
No.
I know you're excited.
I got a bad feeling about
the
this.
cookie drive, but I still have to do a few finishing touches on your uniform. Not bad. You asked for it. What does it mean? I assume this is Dash's idea of a prank, which can only mean she's rigged some kind of booby trap to your Philly Guide uniform up there.
No, it's
So how do we get it
probably
down?
the cake.
We don't. If Dash thinks I'm going to fall for whatever she's got in mind, she's got another thing coming. There's more uniforms where that one came from.
Gonna make another?
The sewing machine cake is actually better than the cake cake. Rainbow Dash!
Okay, that was actually unique.
Gotcha!
Even I would have guessed
How is
wrong.
that forever? What's all this? I thought you were gonna help me get ready for the Philly Guide cookie drive.
Yeah, sorry about that. But Rainbow Dash has been on a pranking tear, and you can never be too careful.
Do you really think Dash is gonna try and prank you in your sleep?
Not if I have anything to say about
The
it.
only thing she doesn't have is the shotgun mounted behind the door with a string attached to the trigger. Adorable.
Huh?
Whoa, how did,
Whoa!
ow. How did she even,
Still think I'm lazy?
how did you even do that? Like, seriously, I could see Twilight doing it, but how did you even do that?
Rainbow Dash!
They're gonna get her back. They're all gonna conspire and get her back. I already know. Cranky? Oh dear. Hey, it's Pepe Le Pew. Return to center. The Mailer Damon error. What the heck? Mr. Cake? Ow. A brick? Uh-oh. Okay, that's interesting. That's cool. Nice cupcakes. Oh no, so this is where cupcakes got... Okay, it's not where cupcakes got started.
Okay. For what? Are you honestly going to stand there and tell us you know nothing about all the pranking Rainbow Dash has been doing? Oh, no.
Pinky will think it's totally fine until she gets pranked, and then she'll want to go against her as well.
Oh, yeah. She and Gummy both. Boo.
That's cute.
They got me good.
Well, she needs to stop.
Stop? But pranks are so much fun.
Not for every pony, and it doesn't
True.
seem like Dash is taking the time to find out who enjoys them and who doesn't.
Since you and Dash share such an affinity for pranking, we thought you might be able to get her to,
Tone it down.
quit it.
Oh dear.
Hey, Rainbow Dash!
Oh my gosh, the flashback to this.
Really important to tell you!
To whenever Gilda showed up.
Hey, I actually have something totally important to tell you. You do?
It's a prank.
You go first.
It's a prank.
Okay, you know how I've been pranking every pony?
That face.
It's been pretty funny. I mean, actually, that's what I have to talk to you about. Here, have a cookie. Ooh, thanks. So, I got to thinking, why waste my time pranking every pony one at a time when I could prank every pony at once?
How?
Every pony at once? That's
Create stable tech.
Wait, I mean, it's not. You don't even know what it is yet.
Okay, either Pinky will fall sway and get involved.
Ever. I special ordered these joke cookies so the colors would match my mane. And I'm gonna switch them with the Philly Guide cookies. When Scootaloo and her friends sell them, every pony in town's gonna get a rainbow mouth, courtesy of Rainbow Dash. It's gonna be so awesome.
Okay. Oh, so that's where that
I
came
don't
from.
know. I mean, it doesn't really seem all that funny. What? Maybe this is a good time to stop pranking for a while. The other ponies
Yeah.
in town really... Stop?
kind.
Prank is happening, Pinky, and it's gonna be hilarious.
Okay, even I'll admit the prank seems pretty lame. I mean, it goes kind of is reminiscent of the whole black eye with a telescope deal.
Pinky, what's the deal? I told you I needed your help switching out all the Philly Guide cookies.
Pinky
for the
will get
Joe
involved
cookies.
to try to make her
When you
stop.
didn't show, I had to do it all by myself.
And this is where Cupcakes gets its start.
Pinky?
This is a prank, I know it.
Your face is still pretty rainbowed.
Yeah, I haven't really been feeling well. And these Joe cookies are the only thing that makes me feel better. You don't have any more, do you?
Is she pretending to have an
I just
addiction?
told you. I used them all for the prank. Oh. Pretty soon, the CMCs will start selling them to every pony in town.
Ponies will open their boxes and start eating. Then all of their teeth will turn rainbow colored, and they'll know it was me. It's gonna be so awesome. Come on, you don't want to miss it.
Actually, I don't think I can even stand up.
If this was any other show, Pinky...
Unless you've got more cookies.
Yeah, on second thought, maybe
Yep,
you better
addiction.
stay here and rest.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry to miss out. I'm sure it's gonna be hilarious.
Okay, Pinky's a good actor. Pinky's a good actor. Oh, that's cute. Interesting though.
All right, who's ready to sell?
If this was any other show, Pinky,
Look here, Rainbow
they could
Dash.
easily.
I know you promised Scootaloo you'd help out, but I don't want none of your pranks.
Pinky could
ruining
easily.
these
If this was
Phillies
any other show, if this was a fan fiction, if this was fan art, she could fake her death, and Twilight could easily make it possible. And
Started. Yeah, we've got a lot of ground to cover. We want to hit every house in Ponyville. Come on, you heard her. Every house in Ponyville.
they're in on it. Hey, Flutters. Oh dear. Oh, what I just heard the sound of the Mario coins. Aren't they tired by now?
I think you three should be real proud. Y'all did a mighty impressive job for your first go-round.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Applejack. Isn't that right, Rainbow Dash? Any minute now.
Any minute now, what? Huh? Oh, nothing.
My video just
You
lagged.
guys notice how quiet it's gotten? I mean, it's still early, right? Of course it's quiet. Ponies can't talk while they're eating those fabulous cookies. You think? Of course. They're probably all in a cookie coma right now. Huh. Maybe
Oh,
you're right. I'll go
She's in on it! That's what she used that phrase. She phrased that directly that way. She phrased that exactly that
What
way.
is going on?
The Walking Dead. Whoa.
Okay. Definite cookie eating happening. But where is every pony? They must have seen their rainbow mouths by now. They should all be running out into the streets.
Try Ponyville House.
Unless
Fiddle.
every pony went to bed early.
Okay, I love the change in atmosphere here. You know,
The whole
I'm
town loves
really,
cookies, and now every pony is shut up in their houses.
I want to see the edit where that happens to be all red.
Joe cookies, do you? Mrs. Cake! You!
I love the atmosphere for this
I
episode.
was thinking I might have something to do with her not being
Please. Please, for the love of everything decent, let this actually have some spook factor.
I can see you're busy. I'll go back.
Ow. This one time. This is the one time that I regret. This is the one time that I regret that this show is rated Y. Because they could do, if it weren't for that, they could do so much more with this. Like a spell making, like removing the irises and the pupils and making the eye solid white.
Twilight! You've got to come with me to Sugar Cube Corner. Something's going on with the cakes. Well, not something exactly. I mean, it may have something to do with these joke cookies. Cookies! Oh no!
It's like an addiction.
Flurshot!
Oh crap! You're barricading yourself in. She's like, screw everything! Screw what I just
Sure you
built!
don't mind us all coming over? Oh, of course not. I think the girls have earned a little celebration for all of their hard work.
You might have a Rainbow Dash shaped
And
door
a
here very
sewing
shortly.
machine cake left over. Unless any pony wants a cookie.
Don't touch those!
Oh, there is certainly no call for that. There's plenty for every pony.
Come on, we gotta get out of here.
What in tarnation are you going on?
Wait a minute, what?
There's no time. You have to follow me.
Oh, Rainbow Dash. If
To the
you
near-
want
to-
all of those
to stable
cookies,
2.
you'll have to buy
It's right under the barn.
pony else.
I don't want the cookies.
They do.
What they do?
What's happening?
They're in on it.
Explain later. Come on. We need
They're in on it.
somewhere to hide. This way.
Throw the cookies down! Distract them! Throw the drugs down!
Did we lose
Cookies. They're a heck of a drug.
them? Why are we running from the ponies of Ponyville?
Okay, I love the atmosphere for this episode.
I think it's something in the cookies.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Philly Guide cookies haven't changed for years. It's not like there's a new ingredient that's turning the whole town into cookie-craving zombies.
Zombies are canon!
What are you saying?
Okay, I know there was a
What
mention
did you
before, I
do?
think in season 1, but it's been a long time since I did that. Like 6 whole years. Or 5. Sorry. Again, I love the atmosphere for this episode. Hey, Doctor Who.
Okay, so I may have switched all the Philly Guide cookies for joke cookies that were supposed to make ponies' mouths rainbow, but somehow turned every pony into mindless cookie-eating zombies instead.
They became
Instead,
addicted.
We just hide out here until the effects wear off, and as long as no pony else eats the cookies, we'll be fine.
That's lovely, darling. Except for one thing. We've already eaten them.
Looks like your prank up and backfired.
Oh boy.
No, no, stay away! They're making you sick! You don't want these!
We do. We want cookies.
Please, stop! I never meant for this to happen! It was just a harmless prank! It was supposed to be funny! But this isn't funny at all!
Oh my gosh. The fear in her eyes. I knew it was.
Wait, what's happening?
Just delighting in pranking the prankster.
Yeah, how does it feel to get some of your own medicine?
So,
The
you're
horseshoe
not
is on the
sick?
other hoof.
None of you are?
Nope.
Of course not, silly.
Not yet.
This was all a prank?
Yep.
And you can thank Pinkie Pie. After you told her about your plan to prank the whole town, she got
That was
everyone together
all
to
of her
come up with a
ideas?
way to turn the tables on you.
Aw, shucks. It was nothing. Just a little something I threw together.
You mean a bit
Wow,
dark?
You should see your face.
That was a little dark.
About funny.
Not that I'm complaining.
Well,
I like
don't
it.
think it's very
Okay, I
funny,
love it.
And I'm the one that got pranked. I was really
But it just kind of made the
scared.
concept
I
of
thought I made
cupcakes more
everybody
canon.
sick. You
More
can't just
probable.
go around
Pranking whoever you feel like,
Without thinking about how it might make them feel.
or if they
Karma.
enjoy it.
Or
Karma.
think it's funny.
Yeah.
Rainbow.
Oh, I see what you did there. It's a lot of fun when every pony has a good time. I thought you just needed to see what it's like when they don't.
I guess I did. I'm sorry, every pony. I haven't really been thinking about how other ponies feel.
Well, I hope you learned your lesson.
Totally! You ponies pulled off an amazing prank! I'll have to work extra hard to top it.
Gotcha.
Oh. Okay. 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 This was definitely a very... Hang on, I gotta listen to this. Oh, this is good. Ooh, this is very good. Okay, okay, not choreographed, sorry. Whoever composed that ending, great job. I love it. It's awesome. Alright. Excuse me. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Alright. What can I say? Okay, this was an interesting episode. I can say right off the bat, there's a couple of things that I noticed. This, to be completely honest, the story, to me anyway, kind of seems more like something that would have been present in, say, Season 1. Or maybe Season 2. Like, maybe that's just me. Let me confirm something. Okay, yeah. It made me think of it made me have flashbacks to Griffin the Brush-Off whenever Rainbow and Pinkie were pranking the other ponies in that episode. It made me have flashbacks to that. And I did just finish saying that this kind of felt more like a season 1, season 2 episode. And to be thinking of having a second thought on that, I'm not really sure, to be completely honest. I guess, I mean, definitely with the story, it could have fit in any season. It's interesting to see Rainbow and Pinkie sort of going back to that pranking style that they had here in season 2. Because we didn't really, at least not to my direct recollection, did they do any other pranking like that throughout the rest of the series. However, this is a departure from the last episode that I did, Stranger Than Fanfiction, where Rainbow isn't, like, she was kind of a bit more humble in that episode. Of course, she's just a prankster in this one. But I can directly say this isn't one of my most favorite episodes of the series or of the season. But I did still enjoy it. There was definitely some interesting scenery, and I think it was interesting to be able to, to see Rainbow and Pinkie getting back into that pranking and see them kind of, a bit hanging out again, and we kind of got to go back and see Rainbow doing more pranking like she had done prior. But Um, to be completely honest, like I said, okay, first off, before I talk about some of the after effects here, um, I did enjoy the moral, and the moral was true that sometimes, while some people might enjoy pranks, some will not, and so you have to think about the people whom you're pranking, and that is true. Some people won't enjoy it, so one person might not enjoy a prank as much as the next person will, and they might respond differently. And so you really have to take into consideration the feelings of the person that you're trying to prank. And I mean, I know for a fact that there are people that are going to be saying that Rainbow was that Rainbow in the beginning there was rather insensitive to Fluttershy's feelings. And even I could agree with that. Because here's Fluttershy, who is still the most timid out of the entire group, and is the most frightful out of the entire group. And Rainbow caused her to actually hyperventilate. And yeah, I can easily say that that was not the brightest decision on Rainbow's part, and that it was insensitive to do that to somebody whom Rainbow considered to be probably the most like a sister to her. But I really, and this is, I mean, but to be completely honest, Rainbow does care about her friends, and I know some other people are going to make this argument as well, that Rainbow does care about her friends, and she does. I mean, she would do anything that she could for them. Um, and so it was. But like I said, it was kind of interesting to be able to see Rainbow getting back into the pranking thing. But yeah, I will agree that in terms of what Rainbow kind of was doing, it it kind of seemed more like her personality in the earlier seasons than it would have in the later seasons here. There still have been episodes where Rainbow was where Rainbow was boastful or took pride in her abilities, but I think, and maybe that's just my personal thought, but it seemed like as the seasons wore on that Rainbow didn't look at herself like that as much, and that she was pretty much more humble. And I have to say, the last episode, Stranger Than Fanfiction, was one of my most favorites of the entire series. And as far as a Rainbow Dash based episode, is definitely one of my most favorite as well, because it really portrayed her to be like more insightful. She was still herself, but she was also able to be brave, and she was able to stand up. I mean, she was able to stand up for herself, and she was able to help Quibble out. And she wasn't boastful. Like I said, whenever he was praising her for helping him and everything, I was honestly expecting her to make a comment about how awesome that she was. But she didn't. And it more shocked me that she didn't. But I was really happy that she didn't. And here, well, Rainbow wasn't boastful in this episode, but, um, which was a good thing. But she kind of, we got to see more of the older, shall I say, the older personality, where she was more into trying to prank her friends, and she didn't really think too much about their attitude or about their feelings. And so, in terms of a Rainbow Dash episode, this episode to me kind of falls a little weak. Um, and I really hate to say that. I do still enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I do still enjoy it. I certainly I don't hate the episode, but I'm just kind of I really like the way Rainbow was portrayed in the last episode, and but that's just me. I know there's going to be people that really do love this episode, and that's totally fine. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. If people disagree with me, if they do agree with me, that's totally fine. I mean, I'm not against people who disagree whatsoever with me. I'm totally fine. It's not going to ruin my day if somebody disagrees with me. It's not going to ruin my day. But like I said, I did still enjoy the episode. And there was actually some really good, there was some really good stuff here. And again, it felt very similar to the segments in Griffin the Brush Off whenever Rainbow and Pinky were pranking the other ponies. And it was interesting kind of to go to that. But again, overall, I would have to say, if nothing, I mean, definitely there are some good things to take from this. Overall, I think Rainbow would have been the best choice in terms of pranking because it definitely seems more like her personality. And so to be able to teach the moral that, you have to take into consideration the way others feel about being pranked before you prank someone. I think it worked in that nature. I do think that it worked in that nature, and that they were able to use Rainbow to help tell that story. Um, and so I do think it worked for that. In terms of the story, it's another good moral, or it's another good moral. But it just kind of feels like it might be a bit of a sacrifice for Rainbow as a character. Um, for that. And like that's just me personally. I mean, I don't, I don't want to. If I certainly don't mean to offend anybody. I mean, Rainbow is my most favorite of the main six. I love all the main six, but Rainbow's just slightly ahead, or slightly above all of the rest. And so um, it was a little odd to see Rainbow sort of seemingly revert back to the personality that she had before. But like I said, I can mostly look past it anyway, and I can still appreciate the episode for what it is, and still get some really good stuff out of it. So I'm not going to let that weigh the episode down. I'm not going to let that stop me from enjoying the episode overall, because there is still some good stuff here. And so, as far as the story goes, like I said, it was a good moral. I do think that there have been a lot more heavier morals taught before in the season, like season 5 and this season as well. So this wasn't as big a moral as some of the other episodes have taught, but it was still a good moral about taking into consideration your friends and such before you end up pranking them, because some people don't like to be pranked. And so, yeah. But like I said, there are some good things to take from this. Some really good things. There were some really good faces in this. There were some really cute faces with the characters, and there were some really interesting moments. And it was interesting. Like, we got to see a bit more of, like, whenever Fluttershy got upset at Rainbow for pranking her, and Fluttershy said, "I hope you're happy." It kind of makes me think maybe in the first or second season, Fluttershy might not would have even said that, but considering the development as a character that she has sorry about that. Every time that I do commentary, I happen to get a frog. I don't know why. I hate it. Okay, anyway. Crap, I forgot where I was. Okay, I remember now. Okay, I remember. Yes, it kind of makes me think, maybe in season 1, season 2, Fluttershy might not would have said that, but considering the character development that she has undergone over the past, since season 2, in season 3, 4, and 5, and now also that she has actually begun to stand up more for herself and for those around her. And I think it shows growth and development for her. And so it was interesting to be able to see that. And like, we also see her sitting here angry with her hooves crossed. She's not just sitting there timid like she would have been before. She's clearly upset. And so again, I think it did show, even if it was kind of brief, I do think it showed some development with Fluttershy here as well. It furthered to show the development that she has undergone over the past seasons. And even if Fluttershy wasn't the main character or focus in this episode, it's still interesting to be able to see this stuff going on in the background. And so I do think that they did that very well here. And like I said, we did get some cute faces this season. And we got to see the whoopee cushion, which is interesting. It's an old gag, a very old gag. But I think it's kind of funny. Not the whoopee cushion itself, but in a way it's sort of funny. It's not funny, haha. It's funny because, oh my, like, you see it and you think, really? Oh my gosh, you use that old trick? If you could consider that funny. And whenever Applejack made the mention about it being a quick joke, I believe that's what she said. Okay, she said that a whoopee cushion is a joke shortcut, and I think that was hilarious because that was Applejack analyzing that and being critical about it, and it's true. Honestly, it's true because, okay, to be completely fair, the whoopee cushion is a better idea. I mean, obviously they couldn't do that in MLP, but Twilight better be glad that it was whoopee cushion and not attack on a chair. But again, I think it was hilarious that Applejack was able to analyze that and be critical about it. And also, it kind of shows, again, it's brief, but it shows a bit more of the analysis concept being worked slowly into the characters' personas, which is interesting. They're able to analyze something from a rather deep perspective, and I think that's cool. Personally, I think that's cool. Now, I know there's other evidence of this in other episodes even before this season, but I'm just now noticing it. And to be completely honest, some of the pranks that Rainbow pulled on some of the other ponies was in fact unique. Like in regard to the cake, I honestly would have thought it was the cake. I never would have suspected that it was the sewing machine. So again, that was definitely unique. And it never was explained how Rainbow was able to get Applejack's bed and Applejack outside. Now, if that were Twilight, I could understand she could just poof her out, but this was Rainbow Dash. You're right. And the skunk concept, yeah, Pepe Le Pew. And, okay, I will admit, the multiple scrolls was hilarious. It was hilarious because we get to see that hilarious expression on Celestia whenever she pops up from that and she's like, what the buck? It's hilarious on that one, I will admit. I will admit that is hilarious. It's interesting to be able to, I mean, I really honestly wish and hope that they would do more things like that with the princesses in the future, but see them break away from, more often from the royal, dignified personalities that they have to maintain in regard to their stature, and just be natural. And so it's rare glimpses like this whenever we see the characters, whenever we see that reality seeping in around them, and they're able to act. They don't have to act like the royal sisters. They can just act like ponies. They can just act like sisters. And so I really hope that we do get to see more of that in the future. And again, with Big Mac here, like, how the heck did Rainbow lift that rock? I mean, I know she's strong, and I know she's extremely athletic, but my gosh. And the brick in the burger. The brick burger. The brick burger. Burger brick. Whatever you call that. Yeah. It's kind of funny because it looks normal at first, and then suddenly there's the big brick in it. Yeah. I'm not even going to go there with that one. Okay, and the idea of the artwork with Cheerilee there. Okay. I'm just going to assume Rainbow drew that, and Rainbow drew that. It kind of makes me wonder what Rainbow did in school, honestly. Honestly, what her teachers thought of it. But that was actually interesting. That was cute how she was behind the chalkboard the whole time. That was interesting. And then it was okay, and the lead up, and then there was some cute moments. Like I said, Rainbow hanging from the hanger in the closet. That was actually cute. Like I said, this episode did have some cute stuff in it. And this probably is a bit of a callback this possibly could be a callback to Griffin the Brush Off, because because I don't recall since season 2, since Griffin the Brush Off, have we actually got, or was that season 1? Since we seen a segment where Pinkie walks up to Rainbow's house and talks to her. The last time we saw something like that, at least last time that I can directly recall something like that, was in Griffin the Brush Off, whenever Pinkie goes up to Rainbow's house and she's wearing the glasses with the nose and the mustache. And so it kind of makes it, again, this may be a callback to that. And then Rainbow feeds Pinkie some cookies, and the rainbow colored. Okay, again, I have to say, not exactly a very stable or very hilarious prank. I will definitely say that. Definitely not like turning everybody's mouths rainbow colored. Yeah, that, I mean, if somebody told me that they were going to do that to somebody, I would say it's okay, but that all? That's it? A rainbow colored mouth? That's it? Okay. That's it? That would be it. Or that right there, yeah. Now, to some degree, there is a bit. Now, to some degree, it does sound a little interesting, but it, to me, kind of seems a bit more bland. So, yeah. But then again, I'm not going to hold Rainbow or anybody else to having all unique individual ideas for pranks all the time. Some pranks are going to have more effect, more of a comical nature than others. That's more reality. So, in a sense, this is actually natural. Rainbow had this idea, Rainbow had in her mind this idea for a big fantastic prank, but it otherwise seemed pretty lame. But the interesting thing here, like I said, was whenever Pinkie started, and so Pinkie acted, and there's something that I have to say here before I completely wrap this up. Pinkie acted, I mean, her hair, her skin tone was different color. It was lighter color. Her eye color was a lighter color. And so she acted like she was sick, like she was pretty much addicted to the cookies, or that they made her sick, that they turned her into zombies, or into a zombie. And then everybody else, or every pony else, became zombies as well. And I think it's cool that they waited until nighttime to do it, because it had definitely more of a darker tone. And to me personally, this is no doubt, this is my favorite part of this episode, because of the more darker nature here that it features. No, I am not saying that I want there to be an episode where the characters rip each other's limbs off. I don't want to see that. But I really like the nighttime scenery here. It's very beautiful. It's very relaxing and calming. And some of the shadowing and shading features here, like the inside looks of the houses, it definitely adds a dark and ominous tone to it. And they did a really good job with that, of replicating the concept, of animating the concept of moonlight shining through, just moonlight itself shining through the window, illuminating the room just enough for you to see, but not actually bright enough to see every single inch of the room. And so they did a really great job with that. And then the music changed as well, and you see a brief glimpse of one of the characters walking past in the background slowly, like they're zombified. And the tension in the air began to change. Everything got darker. The animation filter changed and everything. And you get to see more of a darker tone. You get to see everything, pretty much from Rainbow's perspective, go to heck in a handbasket on a bullet train. And it kind of, having watched The Walking Dead, it kind of seemed like that. Like everything just slowly began to decay and fall apart around. You could kind of also compare it to Fallout as well. Everything seemed normal. And then everything just began to slowly fall apart around her. Her whole world began to just crash around her. And not in an emotional state, but like in a panic state. She began to see everybody transform into these mindless, addicted, I I kind of hate the concept that it kind of makes it seem like the cookies are that addictive or pretty much a drug. I hate that idea, honestly, but that's kind of what it seems like. Of course, another way to look at it is that the cookies had an effect that made them hungry for more, and their craving for the cookies overrode every other sense, and so that's the only thing that they could focus on. But then it kind of goes back to the first idea, so screw the second thing that I just said. Regardless, everyone just seemed to begin to change, and everyone here, again, I love the tone for this, the darker tone and the atmosphere for this. You see the shadows of the characters as they walk onto the scene. You can see the panic in Rainbow's eyes. You see the shrinking you see the shrinking of her pupils, you see you see the shrinking of her pupils and irises, and you can see the fear on her face as everything slowly begins to sink in around her. And then the characters were able to act in character for that, and they were able to add more to it. And you see, obviously, the changes of the characters' pupils and irises, pardon me, of the characters' pupils and irises, pardon me again, as they realize the things that are going on, as she realizes what's going on around her. Like everything begins to sink in, and she has to witness all of her friends end up becoming these creatures, becoming that, and every single one, every every person that she was going to turn to, ended up becoming that. And so then at the end, she literally, okay, that part where she barricaded the door and then broke through it, that was comical right there. That was typical that was typical animation comedy right there. Personally, if it were me, I probably would have had the door stay intact, but had a rainbow dash shape of her going through the door. But that's just me. But again, it was hilarious to see that. She spends just a brief moment barricading the door, and then the panic behind her, she just tears through the whole thing. Pretty much if you do an animation with horror, with something like that, with the character being scared, it's pretty much animation 101. The character has to break through the door without even opening it. If there was or were an animation guidebook, that would probably be in there. And so again, it worked here, and it was interesting. The rest of the characters, Rarity, Applejack, and the CMCs, weren't already transformed either. They were the only other ponies that Rainbow could turn to in that moment, and so I knew that they were still playing. And then we get to see the barn, and we get to see the atmosphere. We get to see the dark clouds, we get to see the dark atmosphere inside, we get to see the darkness, we get to see the shadowing and shading effects, we get to see the light coming through the window, we get to see the effect of the characters looking out and how the light is still shining. And so again, a really great animation for this. It's really awesome in how that they did it. There's a lot of atmosphere, and the shading and lighting effects around the characters and on the characters and in the background really does add ambience and atmosphere to the scenes that are transpiring. And for this to be an animation that is rated Y, they did a really great job. And there was some really good build-up and atmosphere with the things that was going on around them. And we see the characters' arms coming through the door. We see them flocking to the barn. And then Rainbow begins to realize everything that's going on. And again, the shading, the shadowing, and everything. As the characters step into the light, we see the shrinking of the pupils and the irises. And which they were probably already shrunk because of that during that particular moment. But the scene even transitions to show whenever Rainbow is purely panicking. You can even see her pupils shaking. You can see her irises and her pupils shaking in fear. And so, that's really good. It's a really fine detail in that. And she was really fearful. And it was really good. It was really well done. And so again, I really love the atmosphere for this. And again, I think it was cute. I think it was cool at the end that, I mean, I'm glad that Rainbow did learn her lesson. And hopefully she won't repeat it in the future unless, you know, unless an episode calls for it or a writer does it for a specific reason. But hopefully she learned her lesson and hopefully won't do it again to those that she cares about. We may still see some minor pranks in the future from her and Pinky conspiring, but again, it was interesting to be able to see that, and I'm glad that she learned her lesson. And again, she's still my favorite character of the main six, and I still like her. She's still cute. She's still fun. And so yeah. So again, there's one more thing that I want to say as well, but this is an afterthought regarding this episode. And this is the first time that I've ever done something like this to this nature. So yeah. Okay, first off, again, to everybody that worked on this episode, thank you so much for working on this episode. Thank you so much for this episode. Thank you so much. This was a really good episode. It was fun, and again, I love the atmosphere and everything behind it. It definitely, in terms of the character, it's not my favorite Rainbow Dash episode, but it is still a good episode, and I would definitely have to say it's worth a watch, even if there's not much to take in terms. Pardon me. Even if there's not much to take away in terms of Rainbow's personality, there's still some really good scenes here to actually appreciate. There's still some good goings on here to actually appreciate. And so, yeah, I would definitely have to say it might not have the strongest story, but it is definitely worth a watch anyway, because there might still be something that you can take from it. And so, yeah, and so again, to everybody that worked on this episode, Hasbro DHX, thank you so much for this episode as well. And one more thing before I begin on the afterthought is Applejack making the mention about zombies. I remember Spike making a mention about zombies before, in Griffin the Brush Off, the Mysterious Ne'er-do-well, maybe. I know somebody will point out the episode. It was the episode that kind of inspired the concept for The Walking Dead, where Spike, every pony in town seems to be gone, and Twilight and Spike are walking through town, and they're wondering where every pony is, and Spike makes a mention about zombies. And that was the first mention of zombies possibly being canon. I don't recall there being anything else in any other episode until this point. So, again, this furthers the concept of zombies. But this does bring up something that I have to say. To be completely honest, and this is the afterthought. This is my afterthought on this. And again, you'll know why that I had to save this for last. Because, again, there's something definitely here. Okay. This episode, this is the first time that I can honestly say that I really hope that there are some comics, or will be some comics, created and fan fictions for this episode, because, to be completely honest, for what was going on in terms of the zombie setup, the Y rating for this. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this show. I'm a part of this fandom. I love this show. I love the way that it is. I really do. I don't want the show to become more mature. Okay, let me further clarify that. I do love the maturity level that the show has now in terms of the characters, their personalities, and the stories and morals that we witness. But I don't want it to reach the point to where there are more mature adult themes that are being snuck in more and more often into it. I don't want that, because that's not a part of the show. And I feel the same way about things Disney. I mean, I feel the same way about other animations like Disney and such. The way that they are right now is fine. I don't want that to change. Okay, going back to Runaway Brain, whenever Minnie held up the swimsuit and she made the mention that she wondered what Mickey would think. Okay, I like that. I really do. I like that. It was a bit more mature, but that was the limit to which it actually went. And again, that's a boundary. That's whenever I look at boundaries in terms of animation and the story, the world around it, there is so far that you can go. The content, the nature of the characters, and the nature of the content has to fit within the actual world within the actual world. And you also have to think it also has to fit with the demographic that you're aiming the show towards. If it's supposed to be more mature, then obviously it's going to obviously it's going to have a higher rating. And that pretty much has to be planned out. If you start with something to be more mature, and then it becomes more innocent as time goes on, then it's being dumbed down. And one could probably say that it's attempting to appeal to a younger demographic. It's being dumbed down. If it starts off more innocent and becomes more mature as time goes on, there is a limit at which it should be done and how far that it should go. And it's exactly comparing it to real life. It's like walking outside and going into your yard. You have a pole with you. You take a few steps, you put that down. That's the boundary that you just set. You can step over that boundary, or you can stay within that boundary. That is the way that I compare this. That's the way that that's how I compare animation and storytelling in regards to animation and the characters. And so, in a sense of this could have been made a lot more scary if it wasn't for the Y rating. The Y rating kept it from being more scary. Now, don't get me wrong. I do love the way that it played out, but I also would like to see a comic and read some fan fiction that maybe has a bit of an alternate concept where the characters, it's where, like, for that segment where Rainbow steps on one of the cookies and you see the rainbow color, I could just imagine an artist doing that and making it all red to make it look like blood. And like I said, I know some people, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm honestly not really into gore. I'm honestly not. But I don't mind some scare factor. I don't really at all. And so I think some things can blend. But like I said, seeing something, okay, to clarify more thoroughly, I have a high tolerance level. I have a pretty high tolerance level. I did watch Smile HD before. And yeah, the first initial viewing of it, I sat there with my mouth agape the entire time. But honestly, I still like the animation. The animation was good. It was very smooth. There was a lot of detail and everything. But yeah, it was gory. But personally, I was not offended by it. I wasn't. I wasn't disgusted. And I wasn't offended by it. I could appreciate it for what it was, a fan-based animation. And I could also appreciate the effort that went into it. But I can just as easily appreciate animations like Lullaby for a Princess being hand-drawn. The emotion, the detailing, the atmosphere put into it, it's gorgeous. And so, again, I can appreciate that. I try to have an open mind on a lot of things because I want to. And if I mentally limit myself, I'm going to miss out on a lot of things. And so I want to keep an open mind because I know there's a lot of good out there. And there are still some things that I can appreciate. Even if there are some things that I don't like, there's still some things that I can appreciate with it. And again, I just had these images. I mean, having watched lots of horror films, well, not a huge amount, but I could just imagine this playing out in an alternate way. I could just imagine it in my mind as I was watching it. Instead of the characters having the rainbow color, maybe it being all red. Instead of being able to see the irises and their pupils, their eyes um, are just white. Or even for a more horror theme, like black. But the white would have worked. And I think that would have had more of a scare factor and probably had more effect and definitely would have driven home more the concept of a zombie theme. But I can definitely understand why that would not have been done. And honestly, if I had been the one that wrote the episode, or if I had been the one that helped to write and direct the animation, I too would have went the same route that this episode did. Because although, trying to make it a bit more scary, I think would have looked cool. At the same time, it wouldn't have fit the nature of the show. It would have been too dark for the nature of the show, and there's also the rest of the younger demographic to have to think of. While there are a lot of older individuals that watch the show, there are still younger individuals. And there also are overly sensitive individuals out there, both, they're, parents, and it would be better to play it safe than to take a risk on this. And so that much I really can understand. And so, yeah, I would have went the same route that the animation did here. Even if it was at a cost at the scare factor, like I said, if this was anything else besides MLP, man, the time that they could have done with that. They could have really driven home the concept of a zombie outbreak from cookies. Like I said, maybe having blood, instead of it being all rainbow, it'd be blood. Not seeing their eyes, or just seeing the whites of their eyes. Maybe actually have one of them fall down and or somebody who isn't transformed fall down, and one of the other ones acts like they can smell the cookies, and they begin to they maybe on their breath or something, and so they fake like they begin to eat them. Yeah, if this was anything else besides MLP, they could have really driven home the concept of a whole zombie outbreak because of cookies. But because this is MLP, they were limited with the content and the nature of that content that they actually had to do. And so I can truly respect that. They probably did the farthest that they could do within the boundaries that is set for the show, without actually overstepping those boundaries and risking angry parents and frightened little kids. And so again, it's one of those things where you do have to take it into consideration. And that's something I definitely do. Like I said, if this was anything else, they could have really driven home the scare factor. Whenever I think about Girlfriend, the Mickey Mouse short with how that Goofy looked, that was a very ballsy move. That was a very bold move that the animators did for Disney there. And I liked it. It was a very bold move, and it worked. Especially for the nature of the cartoons. Now, something like a cartoon in probably House and Mouse, it probably wouldn't have passed for that because of the more, shall we say, the more modern animation style. I want to say the more innocent animation style. But the newer cartoons are more notorious for having more zany comedy, more out there comedy, and more out there and zany stories. And so it fit within the nature of that. And so again, before you do the jokes, you have to think of the nature of the content and the demographic that is going to be watching it. And so it's a bad idea to do something like that, to write it out and then think, oh, right, I forgot who's going to be watching this. And then you have to wad it up. And so, again, I think they planned it out good or really well, and they took into consideration the demographic of which was going to be watching it. And I think they kept it within the boundaries, safely within the boundaries, without overstepping those boundaries. It was dark enough and scary enough to that probably some little kids may still have a bit of fright for it, but I still think for the most part, most people, most, not all, but most, will still be able to appreciate the depth at which the animators and the writers did go with the scare factor for this. And it fit still within that boundary, and it worked for that. And it didn't overstep that, and it worked within the nature and the boundary that they had to work with. If they had have done it any other way and tried anything else darker, it would have overstepped the boundary, and then there would have been oversensitive parents that would have been saying, "Oh my gosh, my kid went and crawled under the bed because he's so scared. I'm offended because I have to shield my child from every single monster. I can't take him to McDonald's without him being scared of Ronald McDonald." And no, I'm not. I'm actually not offended if I offend some of those parents. I'm not offended if I offend those parents. Huh? Anyway, um, you know exactly how that is. You've seen that kind of crap, but I'm not getting into that right now. But it does, like I said, I can appreciate this episode because they did what they could with the nature of the show, the nature of the characters, and what the show is, what it has done, what it is doing, and the nature of and the demographic that it's supposed to be aimed for. Now, on that last one, I have to say the demographic has been broadened. Since the first season, this show has definitely tackled some really heavy-handed topics, and that's one of the things that most fans have praised season 5 for, and some episodes of season 6 is because of some of the heavy-handed subjects and topics that this show has begun to cover. And it's handled some very heavy subjects that people can honestly relate to. And there has been a few episodes that have really hit home hard emotionally with some people because it brought back bad memories. It brought back memories of bad experiences that they have had. And that's a good thing. I feel sorry. I mean, I do. I really feel sorry for the people that had those bad experiences. But whenever an animation like that, whenever the storytelling, and whenever the acting is able to be conveyed in such a way that it makes you relate to something, and it makes it believable, that's whenever it's at its best. That's whenever the story, that's whenever the animation, and that's whenever the acting, and the character writing is at its best. Is whenever you can really relate to it. Is whenever it brings out the emotion in you. That's whenever it's at its best. And that goes for not just animation. That goes for video games. That goes for movies. That goes for music, and it goes for comics as well. And so that's why a lot of the episodes in season 5 and some of the episodes so far in season 6 are so highly praised, is because of the nature of some of the content that they have been able to do. And yes, there are in fact some subject material in the episodes that some little kids are not going to get. References to the Game of Thrones, references to the Game of Thrones, just to name off a couple of things. Some little kids are not even going to know what the heck this is, who the heck this is. They're not going to know. And so that flies right over their heads, but it captivates, it appeals to the older demographic. And this MLP is not the first thing to do that. There other animations as well have done it before. Disney cartoons have done it before. The Animaniacs did it. Looney Tunes cartoons did it, and I believe I think Tiny Toons, Tiny Toon Adventures did it. Rocko's Modern Life did it. And so there have been animations before that have made jokes and references that have completely went over top of younger audiences' heads, but it appealed to the older audiences. And I think it's really cool that they are in fact working more of that nature into MLP. And so it's definitely for a broader audience now than it was in season 1 and season 2. And it has expanded over that time. Now, I can definitely respect and I completely honor and value the fact that the show will never reach levels of Rocko's Modern Life. Not that Rocko's Modern Life was a bad cartoon, but I definitely don't want to see this thing I definitely don't want to see the characters make really crude humor, like disgusting, crude humor, or sexualized jokes. I don't want to see that. That's not the nature of the show. That's not the nature of the characters. It's fine if it's fan fiction or fan art because it's a fan based concept. But to actually see the actual material do it, no, I don't want to do that. I'm fine with seeing it fan based because I know that it's a fan that wrote it. But whenever you see the actual characters do it, that's whenever the childhood ruining begins. And so, at least that's my take on it. That's how I feel about it. And so, again, I think this episode is good for what it is, and there are some things to definitely appreciate in this episode, and it does have a good feel for a nice Halloween-based episode. And so, it wouldn't surprise me if they re-air this episode again close to Halloween, if not on Halloween itself, because of that. So, and I know this episode will also spawn a lot more fan art and fan fiction as well based off that, which is a good thing. So this will also help to spawn a lot more things to view and to read. So, but that's my personal thoughts on it. So yeah. So, excuse me. I'm sorry I ate supper earlier. Okay, later if you consider eating at midnight, eating dinner. That's what time I ate dinner tonight, midnight. That was my dinner. Yeah. So that was my personal thoughts on this episode and the afterthought. And again, I did enjoy it. And like I said, there was still, even if it wasn't the strongest in terms of it being a Rainbow Dash episode or the story, it did still have a good pointed moral, and it did have some really good things to actually take from it. So it was still a good episode. It was still a good episode. So again, everybody that worked on it, thank you so much for this episode. And again, to everybody requesting for me to do this episode, thank you so much. And again, I want to hear your thoughts, what you think as well. And again, I have to say, I know some people may have thought that I would absolutely love this episode. Now, while I don't feel as strongly about this episode as I do the last one, Stranger Than Fanfiction, I do still enjoy this episode. Please remember that. I do still really enjoy this episode. And there are still some really good things in it. It's still a fun and funny, and it's still a fun and funny episode, and it does have some good atmospheric elements with the nature of the scenes and the story that they're trying to do, that they did do. So it does still have some really good stuff in it, and I can definitely appreciate it for that. So again, thank you for joining me, and I want to hear your thoughts as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.